A popular saying is nothing is ever lost on the internet, but what is something you have been searching for years and you haven't found it yet? An Antique Roadshow episode where the appraiser asked the owner if they had cleaned a priceless Milanese helm. They responded, "I hit it with a lil lemon pledge," and the appraiser visibly shivers. Around 1999 I had borrowed a digital camera from school and took a lot of pictures of friends and stuff. It was back when people really didn't carry around cameras except for special activities. I remember uploading them to my brother's university Unix shell account to share with some people, but when he graduated and that account closed, I lost access and didn't have any backups. Really wish I still had those photos. Nobody has them. I tried to find the browser games I played when I was a kid. Some of them no longer exist. https://lostmedia-wiki.com/post-op/ia_left_parenthesis partially_found_game semicolon_2001-2011. All the shitty Fruity Loops music I made in my early 20s that was on MySpace. Around 12 to 13 years ago, I got into Stumble Upon, which was a Firefox extension that adds a button to your screen that takes you to a random page that someone marked as interesting. Once, I found a Flash animation that portrayed a recreation of a white hat hacker doing a penetration test on a web application. The whole thing was a Linux command shell without any GUI. It started with an IRC chat where someone asks the hacker to look into his application and sent him a URL and another URL for the source code. After a sped up 3 minutes of curl, grep, and SSH, the hacker built a command line script that can pull any username and email from the site. Never found it again. Thanks/you/Zalmiak for finding the video. It's called 0 Day by Malo0RM. An electronic copy of the Machine Gun Dealer's Bible, which I bet a co-worker years ago I could find. In an effort to prevent myself from owing him $5, I am still looking for it. In 2003, there was a commercial for I think E-Trade where a CEO retires and hands to company over to his stoner bro grandson whose entire press conference is him saying "I'm so stoked." Everyone dumps the stock immediately and the ad was about how quickly you could trade using E-Trade. My family loved that commercial to the point where we had shirts made that said "I'm so stoked." I have looked through a lot of commercial compilations in YouTube, but have still never found that ad. A short comedy sketch where a guy dies after calling in sick to work. Con Air was on the TV when detectives found the body, so they assumed he was a massive Nicolas Cage fan, and the dead guy has to watch all his friends judge his love of Nicolas Cage from the afterlife. Then his guardian angel appears in the form God thinks he'd love most, Nicolas Cage from Con Air. I used to watch it all the time years ago and now can't find it anywhere. Edit solved itch. Thanks to the folks below, it's a college humor sketch called The Second Most Embarrassing Way to Die. Unfortunately all sites that hosted it only have dead links so far. Still digging for it? Edit 2 solved. /u/arm Charles found it. Starts around 4:30, https://vimeo.com/105655143. There was this game on Windows 3.1 similar to the board game Life. You allocated time each day to studies, work, and rec in order not end up a bum on the street or dead. The full series of Pirates of Dark Water. Edit. For those posting torrent links, I appreciate it, but I'm on mobile as my laptop is DOA. Edit 2. Apparently I can torrent on my phone. So I will have to get an SD card with a lot of storage and check this out ASAP. All through school they taught us you can never truly delete anything online, and even if you delete it someone can still find it. While this may be true if you seriously pissed off a master computer hacker, but for the average person this claim is completely BS. I went on a few dates with a girl a few summers ago and I really liked her. All of a sudden though she just vanished. Like her Snapchat was deactivated, completely disappeared off Facebook, Instagram, everything. I tried texting her a couple of times but she never responded. I got a little worried because she's not the type of girl to ghost like that, and she struggles with suicidal thoughts and mental health issues, so you can see why this might be concerning. Since she wasn't responding and I didn't really know any of her friends to ask about her, I went full social media creep mode to try and at least find out what happened to her. I figured if she had killed herself there would be something online about it. Well, I didn't find anything, like literally no evidence that this girl even existed besides a picture of her on her brother's Facebook page. I didn't even know she had a brother. He was just the only person that came up if you searched her name on Facebook. Googling her name also yielded no results. Since I could literally find nothing about her online, I figured she had just blocked me for some reason, and I eventually gave up. I tried searching her on Facebook a couple times over the next year or so, but nothing ever came up. This past summer she popped up in my Snapchat friend suggestions, and honestly it was such a relief to finally see some evidence that she was alive. I added her not expecting her to add me back, but she did, and she actually messaged me. We met up again and went for a hike and grabbed dinner together to catch up. Turns out she was going through some rough times and didn't want to talk to anyone and disappeared, but she's doing much better now. Things didn't work out with us romantically again, but she's still one of my closest friends now. This video I think I found on Vimeo of these guys working at a bong shipping facility. Apparently a customer requested a video of the process of putting together their new order for shipping. These two guys put together a great video with them dancing to Maniac by Michael Sambello throughout it. I'd love anyone who can find what I'm talking about. A flash animation video of O.J. Simpson playing golf and killing small animals, talking about how the liberal media has besmirched his name. There was a quote that I read on the title of a post that went something like, "Just because you've gone down 90% doesn't mean you can't go down another 90%. It's related to the stock market and can also apply to life. I've wanted to find out who said that for the longest. What color is Groglin gray? Grandfather always talked about painting his house Groglin gray, but I can find no reference for it." Where the quote, "I wanted 16 candles Molly Ringwald, not pretty in pink Molly Ringwald," comes from. Edit 2. Huge kudos to /u/Banyeli for finding it, and to the National Film Board for keeping it. This one comes from my mom. A Canadian, or American, based in Ontario, so we got any US channels, anti-smoking cartoon from the 70s or 80s, where a guy is smoking and says I should quit. This will be my last cigarette if I see a woman in a fur coat, and one immediately walks by, so he says, wearing green shoes, and one does, and then walking a dog on a diamond leash. Actually, it was a tiger, and then when a woman in a fur coat wearing green shoes walking a tiger on a diamond leash walks by, he crushes his cigarette up and the tagline goes, "What will it take for you to quit?" Been looking for it for ages and haven't been able to find it yet. Edit, put in proper sequence, and clarified that it could have been on Canadian or American television, based in Ontario. That song I can kinda hum, but only know one word to, and to Google song lyrics plus love would clearly be ridiculous. A desktop wallpaper I had back in 2009-2010-ish. It was some digital art of a female with her face sticking halfway through a vertical waterline with goldfish floating about. Her hand was also in the frame and she had thin gold hoop bracelets on. It was such a dreamy piece of art. I miss it. There was a song that played on the radio in 2004, alternative rock station, 105.7 The Point in St. Louis. The song was either called Unchained or the band was called Unchained. I heard it maybe a couple times. I've never, ever been able to find the song again. Any band called Unchained has never put out the song, nor has any song called Unchained been the right one. It's frustrating. If I do hear it again, now 15 years later, I am not 100% sure I will recognize it. /u/Ginger's Girl found it. https://www.youtube.com/watch?mark b=CJP3W3WLB9Y. Thank you. There's an animated video that's about 10 years old or so, and all I remember is that it's hilarious and I'm pretty sure it's Flash and it ends with a giant penis coming from the sky smashing the protagonist. To death. Google searching for giant penis Flash smash has not produced the desired results. I don't know if anyone will be able to find this, but it's worth a try. Sometime around 6 years ago I was hanging out with friends and they decided to put on a horror movie. I was almost certain it was on Netflix but I could be wrong. The movie was an Asian horror, but I can't remember which, though I think it was Japanese. The plot was interesting in that it was about an actress who gets a role in a movie about a real-life murder that had made the news years ago. The actress plays the girl that was murdered, but she is great at the role because she was the girl that was murdered in her past life, and she's reincarnated. So creepy shit and memories flood back as she's filming this movie. Anyway, I've looked up everything I could and have found absolutely nothing, so I'm starting to think the movie doesn't exist. Someone tell me it does. Edit. Thank you guys. It's called Reincarnation, 2005. You ever have a vague memory of something and thought it might have just been a dream, but then discover a video or pictures of it later and it feels surreal? That's how I just felt watching the trailer, LOL. During some in-depth discussion on the Lord of the Rings lore, the conversation turned somewhere deep in the appendices, or in some additional notes of Tolkien's, to the future of Middle-earth, specifically of the hobbits, hundreds of years after Elisar's reign. He, as you may remember, designates the Shire a protected area that men cannot enter. As time passes, these rules are gradually forgotten. The men harass the hobbits, forcing them to become more secretive and reclusive. Their culture suffers, they forget their music and books, their cookery, and their stories, and become like animals, hunted by cruel men for sport. The passage ended with the notion that hobbit kind had not been seen for many years, though there was a chance they could be deep in hiding, or that they had forgotten what they were. It was depressing as fuck, but this discussion took place online in about 2009 to 2010 and I haven't, since, been able to find the source. I recall wanting a source and being given one, and I followed the links and confirmed it myself, reading the depressing passages although not committing the exact text to memory. Was it a Lord of the Rings appendix? A separate letter detailing the Hobbit's sad future? Could even have been Chris Tolkien's musings. I honestly don't know. I have wanted to refer back to it in the years since, but as I say, I can't find it. The only line I remember with clarity was the "haunted by cruel men for sport." Yo, this girl posted to Reddit years and years ago about having to be hospitalized because she used a spicy sausage to masturbate with. I have no idea how to find that. An American, I think, movie I saw as a kid about a girl in the country and her cousin. A guy that was in a wheelchair that refused to go out. 90s, maybe 80s? Lots of golden hour scenes and bright photography. A computer game I played as a kid. I remember very little of it, but it was one of the things I remember most of my childhood. This would have been circa the mid-90s, Windows 95 era, and it was a ROM game or something that came with the computer. All it was these little scenes you could choose, and then you click on different things and they become animated. The one I remember most was a creepy castle scene. You click on a window and a pair of red eyes appeared in it. You click the sky and there'd be thunder and lightning. If anyone has any recollection of this, please let me know. This is my biggest internet white whale. The video of that news anchor / show host lady who committed suicide live on air in the 80s. Also, the music video to Svamirka by Sina M. Edit. The music video has been found, courtesy of u/ointment_moist. A sculpture of Santa Claus sitting on his throne with a glittery but otherwise empty removable snow globe on a pedestal next to him. I've searched for years. All because young me accidentally broke mom's brand new expensive Christmas gift. Crying face. That one porn video. This French film I watched maybe about 10 years ago. It was one of those that was shown on Film 4, UK channel, at stupid o'clock in the morning, and I can't remember for the life of me what it was called. It had a basic Cluedo / Agatha Christie setup, bunch of relatives gathered together in a house, in winter maybe, but this might be wrong. The father / grandfather dies and they all have to figure out who did it. I think it had moments of humor in it, despite not being an out-and-out comedy. It wasn't an old film, definitely post-2000, and was set in the modern age, so wasn't a period detective story or anything. One of the characters, suspects, was a red-headed woman with glasses who seemed to enjoy terrible romantic fiction. Spoiler for the end if I've remembered correctly. I have a feeling that maybe the old man turned out to not have been dead all along and that he was maybe faking it to find something out about his relatives. I can't find any hint of this film at all. Does anyone recognize it from my terrible summary? A game. The player is a car and different levels will be on different planets, I think. One thing I remember is that one of the levels was in a snow-covered planet with metallic spiders. Edit 4. Solved. The game is Ubisoft's Infestation. A huge thank you to you / Brooks Conrad. I finally have it after 10 years. Edit. Another level had us go through a yellowish path bordered by glowstick-like barriers which were destructible, and both sides outside the path were green. The car looked like something from Roll Cage, except this game was like an RPG. Edit 2. View was third person, except instead of the person, it was the car. More appropriate to say it was some sort of rover, except it probably was huge. Also, the main menu was showed a galaxy in the background with the different levels being the different planets. Edit 3, it was definitely not a racing game. It was mostly a linear RPG. I hate my brother for renaming the games.exe file when we were young, lol. There was an r/relationships post about a guy who had an argument with his partner about sweet pickles having sugar in them, while she insisted that they were just pickles that are sweet. I always wanted to see if there was an update, but I could never find the post again. This old French website that hosted these pixel clip art versions of Disney characters. Because the outlines were single pixels wide and there was no compression, little me could save them and recolor or edit them in MS Paint easily. I basically made a whole drag and drop dress up game in Paint using their Tinker Bell and Jasmine. Like, I don't have much use for it these days, but I look for it occasionally just for nostalgia purposes. Last time I used that site, I must have been like 12, it's been well over a decade. That one video where it's someone running through stock footage, replicating when an action movie goes through its entire budget in the entire last scene, and it ends with a woman crying, and a general satisfied. The T in adder. It would take any web page and change it to seem like Mr. T had written it. It was so funny to do it to news sites like CNN. A saved Reddit post which was a collection of paranormal/creepy AskReddit threads which I accidentally removed from my saved posts. Photos from meetups in early 2000 from a game I used to play. I think nearly all the photos people took ended up on sites that don't exist anymore. A quote from a book, maybe Lundy Bancroft, about how to get a friend out of an abusive relationship. I want the original source. I believe it was in a Q&A format that ran a bit like this in ideas, but not phrasing. Q. My friend is in an abusive relationship, but she won't allow us to help her leave it. How do we safely get her out? A. You don't. You need to offer her the opposite of what her abuser is, choices. Allow her to socialize with whom she wishes, even her abuser, because he's probably isolating her. Forgive her for being flaky, because he may not be. Allow her to choose for herself even if you disagree with the choice, because that's the opposite of what he's doing. She has to decide to leave by herself. A super hilariously bad Phil Collins song. It's him singing in a high-pitched voice and it sounds pretty much the same all the way through. Been looking for years. My Tumblr that got hacked and deleted, sad face, had a lot of interactions on it with my first love that passed away. Lie our first conversations in my inbox, and I've been trying to see if I can find copies of some posts that may have been reblogged, and even sent an email to support to see if it was possible to recover anything, and unfortunately everything is just gone. I have one email that I printed out that I still keep in a box under my bed, but it took a long time to accept that it was really vanished. Yoda Stories. It was a Star Wars game I played on the family PC around 1997/1998. Pretty sure I downloaded it because I seem to remember it saved progress, so doubtful it was a browser game. You went round doing missions and fighting creatures. Haven't managed to find it since. I've posted this a couple of times, but it's my absolute white whale and I'd love it if one day someone could help me find it again. I can't for the life of me track it down, but I once read a story not on Literotica, I just found it bouncing around the web that included an 18-year-old boy who could make anything happen just by wishing for it. He started out by having sex with all the cute girls in his school, and then when he got bored of that he made his mother into his own personal sex slave, and then when he got bored of that he turned his cat into a sort of Nico Catgirlanthro thing and had sex with her. The story took a more bisexual turn after a while, and he ended up with, at various points, his hot neighbor and a harem of boys from school. So far, so normal-ish. Eventually, I can only assume because the writer ran out of ideas, he started conjuring up fictional characters to bone, starting with "And I promise you, this is as true as I remember it, Count Chocula." Cue long descriptions about the Count's long, pale fingers all over his body, and even though the boy isn't into it to start with, eventually he concedes, drops to his knees and begins to suck cock like a pro. Spoilers, yes, it tastes like chocolate. No matter what I try, I can't track it down, and it's slowly driving me insane. It was at least 50,000 words long, and surprisingly well written given just how fucking mental it ended up being. There were a couple of chapters that followed, but I never managed to find it again. At this point I'm considering writing it up myself just so I can preserve it in some form or other. A clip starring Jerry Seinfeld, having a meeting with a movie executive about B-movie. And #X200B. The exec suggests changing the characters from bees to humans. And #X200B. It was very funny, but seems to be lost to time. My writing portfolio. I spent 6 years writing for a now defunct sports team's website. Some of the stuff on WordPress is still around but the rest is gone.